Am I the a-hole for calling out my mom's golden child favoritism at family dinner? I, 33 male, have always been the forgotten child compared to my younger sister, Sarah, 29 female. Growing up, Sarah was the straight A student, the star musician, the gifted one. Meanwhile, I was just average. I did fine in school, got a decent job, and built a stable life for myself. But because I was just average, it never seemed to matter. My parents have always put Sarah on a pedestal, and I've spent years swallowing my resentment. We have a regular family dinner every Sunday at my parents' house. It's been a tradition for years, and while I sometimes dread it, I go because, well, it's family. This past Sunday, things finally boiled over. The evening started like it always does, Mom and Dad showering Sarah with praise. She recently got a promotion at work, and the whole dinner was spent talking about how amazing she is, how proud they are, how she's always been so hardworking. I sat there listening while no one asked about my job, my life, or anything I had going on. Then after dinner, my mom pulled out an envelope and handed it to Sarah. I didn't think much of it until Sarah opened it and gasped. It was a check for $15,000. My parents said it was to help her out with buying a house since the market is tough right now. I just sat there in shock. I bought my first home 3 years ago. I drained my savings, worked my butt off, and did it completely on my own. I never got a dime from my parents, not even an offer. So I asked, "Did you ever think to help me when I was buying a house?" The room went silent. My mom looked uncomfortable before saying, "Well, Sarah has had more challenges." I felt my face go hot. What challenges? She makes more than I do. My dad sighed and said, "Come on, don't be like that. It's just a little help." That's when I lost it. I told him I was sick of being treated like an afterthought, that it's always been Sarah, Sarah, Sarah while I get nothing, that it was clear who their favorite was, and I was done pretending it didn't bother me. My mom started crying. My dad told me I was being dramatic. And Sarah? She just sat there, looking guilty but saying nothing. I left. Since then, my parents have been texting me about how I ruined family dinner and how I could have handled it privately instead of making a scene. Sarah texted, saying she understands why I'm upset, but I didn't need to embarrass Mom. Now I'm wondering, was I the a-hole for finally calling them out, even if it made things messy? Now for the top comments. How much more private could you be? Only the people involved were there, not the a-hole. Exactly. It's not like I aired it out in public. I feel like if they can't handle the truth in that setting, that's on them. Makes me wonder how much more they've helped her out. Yeah, if they were willing to give Sarah $15,000 in front of OP, it makes you wonder what they have given her behind OP's back. Oh, boo freaking who. They are being jerks, and you called them out on it. They ruined the family dinner, not you, by deliberately rubbing your face in it. Honestly, they deserve a time out. You have every right to be angry. Good luck. Maybe it sounds empty, but you're the strong one and deserve praise and love. I'm sorry. It means a lot to hear that. You're right, they were the ones being unfair, and I'm done letting it slide. A time out might be exactly what I need to focus on myself and the people who actually appreciate me. I wish you the best, but I must strongly disagree with one thing you said though. I think you sell yourself short by saying you are just average. You are not average. Everything you have is your own. Everything you have you built for yourself. That's amazing. You're definitely not the a-hole. Your parents are for forgetting they had another child who deserved to be treated equally. I know how upsetting it is, but just go about your life and don't include them. I hope you find someone and settle down. And when you do, you'll know never to treat your own kids this way. If you think it will help, maybe have a discussion with them in a calmer setting, explaining how you've had to do everything yourself without ever being considered. But I'd also recommend therapy. Parental relationships are not easy to navigate as you get older because old wounds creep in and cause pain. Therapy might help me navigate these feelings, and I'll consider having a calmer conversation with them if it feels worth it. For now, I'm focusing on my own life and the people who truly value me. Appreciate the advice. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my mom move in after she sold her house to travel? I, 29 male, have always known my mom, 54 female, as a free spirit. She had me young and raised me mostly on her own. And while I love her, she's never been the most responsible person. She always followed her heart, even when it made no financial sense. Growing up, we struggled because she would quit jobs impulsively or spend money she didn't have. I learned early on to be independent because I never felt like I could fully rely on her. 5 years ago, when I was finishing college, she decided to sell her house, quit her job, and travel. She said she'd spent her whole life being tied down and now deserved to live. I asked what she'd do when the money ran out, and she just laughed, saying, "That's future me's problem." Family tried to talk her out of it, but she was determined. She sold the house, got rid of most of her belongings, and spent the next few years hopping from country to country, posting about her dream life on social media. Well, future her's problem has arrived. A few months ago, she called me, sounding anxious. She admitted she was broke and had no place to go. She asked to stay with me and my fiancé, 28 female, for a little while until she figured things out. The problem? We just bought our first home, a small 2-bedroom house that we barely have space in. We're also planning our wedding and looking forward to finally building our own life. I told her I was sorry, but she couldn't move in. I offered to help financially for a bit, maybe cover rent for a cheap apartment, but she got really upset. She said I was selfish and ungrateful, that she sacrificed everything to raise me, and now I was abandoning her. She told me that family helps family, and that I was acting like a stranger. I reminded her that she ignored everyone's warnings, and that I shouldn't have to put my life on hold for her choices. She started crying, saying I didn't understand how hard it was to be alone and broke at her age. That part made me feel guilty, because I do get that she's scared and struggling, but at the same time, I can't keep saving her from herself. Now family members are reaching out, saying she's my mother and I owe it to her. My fiancé supports my decision, but feels bad too. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my mom move in after she gambled her entire future away? Not the a-hole. Your mom made her choices knowing full well that they could lead to this. She even laughed off concerns about what would happen when the money ran out. Now that reality is hit, she expects you to clean up the mess. Exactly. She made those choices knowing the risks, and now expects me to clean up the mess. I want to help, but I can't sacrifice my own future for her mistakes. Your family wants you to take her in so they don't have to, and part of that is because this isn't going to be temporary. She has no money, so she's going to need to find a job and somewhere she can afford to live. That's not a short process. She'll be with whoever takes her in for a good while, and that's if she actually takes responsibility for her terrible choices. The fact that your mom is throwing a hissy fit over being told no makes me think she expects you to fully support her. She probably refused your rent off her because if she lives with you, she wouldn't have to pay for anything. You're getting married. Nothing will put pressure on a marriage like having an in-law move in, especially one who refuses to take responsibility. Your mom made her decisions, and now she needs to figure it out. Honestly, I wouldn't even agree to pay her rent unless she has a real plan because, without a job, she'll be right back at square one in a few months, expecting more money from you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You warned her, and she refused to listen. Tell her that future her needs to solve the problem like she said. If she likes traveling, she can get a random job anywhere in the world. She actually did have a job while traveling, but she got fired for being, well, herself, annoying and impulsive. It's frustrating because it feels like she hasn't learned from her past mistakes. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad he is dead to me? I, 24 female, grew up with only my mom in my life. My dad left when I was 6 months old. I guess he was thirsty and wanted to find the best milk in the world. He disappeared on us and never contacted me once. My mom had to juggle taking care of a kid while finishing high school at 18 years old. He had graduated a year earlier. I see my mom more as a best friend than a mother because she didn't really know how to take care of a child, so I grew up as more of an equal rather than being treated like a kid. It's been hard on her, but she did an amazing job, and I love her for that. Yesterday, my grandma on my dad's side called and said he wanted to talk to me. I hadn't heard from him my entire life, and now all of a sudden, he wanted to talk. I arranged to meet him at a Starbucks, hoping and praying that he would apologize and give me an excuse, any excuse, for why he left. I would have even been okay with, "I wasn't ready for a child," or "I didn't love your mom like that." Do you know what he said the moment I walked into Starbucks and sat down? "I need money." I felt so much anger that the first time I ever heard from my father was him begging for money. I got up, slapped him, and told him he was dead to me. At the time, I thought my reaction was justified, but now my extended family, and even my mom, are saying I was way too harsh and shouldn't have slapped him. I'm starting to doubt whether I should have told him that. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. For those who asked or were wondering, my mom showed me pictures of my dad when I first asked why I didn't have one. Now for the top comments before the mini update. You are not the a-hole, but you are a badass. Good job, and I hope for any updates. Thank you for your kind words. Trust me when I say I'm not normally the type to do this. You were not harsh enough. You could have said, "I need money too, and I'm expecting $180,000 in back support. If you don't have it, we are through here." That would have been epic. He showed zero responsibility or remorse after abandoning you. Expecting money when he's never contributed to your life is the ultimate low. You handled it better than he deserved. Not the a-hole OP. Do you have any relationship with your paternal grandmother? Or was her call out of the blue as well? I do have a somewhat okay relationship with her, as she felt bad that her son left us to fend for ourselves. Not the a-hole. He only contacted you because he wanted something. He never once spared your feelings after all these years of abandonment, so why should you feel guilty for possibly hurting his? I'm even willing to overlook the physical violence because, after so many years, your level of anger and resentment is 100% understandable. If you give him the money, you're just setting a precedent for the remainder of the relationship, that he doesn't have to be accountable for anything and can still reap the benefits of being in your life. Yes, if he didn't need any money, then he would have been considering OP and mom dead. What OP did is what he should have done. Now for the mini update. A lot of you have been saying I shouldn't have smacked him, and a few said I could get into legal trouble. Is there any real risk of me being arrested for this? Any advice would be appreciated. Anyway, I had a quick talk with my grandma on my dad's side, and apparently, she did know that he wanted money. I don't want to cut her off for it, but we did get into a screaming match over it. However, she did kindly inform me that my dad was going to try and press charges like some of you thought he would. The slap was a mistake I wish I could take back. To top it off, my mom is on my dad's side. I have no idea why. I don't understand how she could be on the side of the craphead that just left her. Maybe she still has love for him after 24 years? I'm lost. Now everyone is telling me I was wrong and I don't know. Maybe I should just give him the money at this point? I can't deal with all the drama while I'm on my last year of college. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my in-laws financially after realizing they're taking advantage of me and my wife? So, I've kind of reached my breaking point with my in-laws, and now apparently I'm the bad guy for it. My wife, 34 female, and I have been helping her parents out financially for years. We've covered medical bills, helped with their mortgage, and whenever there was some emergency they couldn't handle, we stepped in. We never really thought twice about it because, well, they're family, and my wife felt like it was our responsibility. But then I started noticing a pattern. Every time we gave them money, suddenly they had cash to go out to fancy restaurants, buy expensive designer clothes, or splurge on things they absolutely did not need. At first I tried to brush it off. Maybe they just needed a little joy in their lives or whatever. But it kept happening. And the thing is, it was always right after we helped them. The final straw was last month. My mother-in-law called my wife, crying about overdue medical bills and how they were struggling. We sent them a good chunk of money because, obviously, that's important. A few days later, I see mother-in-law posting on Facebook about how they're having a much-needed getaway at some luxury resort. I showed my wife, and she immediately started making excuses for them. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe they used a different credit card. Maybe we were overthinking it. But the more I looked into it, the clearer it became. There were no overdue medical bills. They straight up lied to us so they could go on a fancy vacation. That was it for me. I told my wife we're done funding their lifestyle. If they can afford designer clothes, they can afford their own damn house. My wife was hesitant at first. She's always felt responsible for them. But even she had to admit this was messed up. So we told them we weren't giving them any more money. And all hell broke loose. Mother-in-law called us ungrateful and sobbed about how we're abandoning them. Father-in-law said I was manipulating my wife. Then they dragged other relatives into it, who are now guilt-tripping us, saying things like, "But they're family, and you have the money, why wouldn't you help?" Now my wife is second-guessing everything, and I feel like the villain. But I can't keep lighting money on fire for people who refuse to act like responsible adults. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They are the a-holes for sucking you dry. They are taking advantage of us, which stops now. Make a timeline of all the money you have given them. Include dates. Next, put what they did with the money. Put everything on it, print it out, and hang it on your refrigerator for your wife to see. When relatives that feel it's appropriate to discuss finances with you because your in-laws shared private information with them, send them the document. The bank is closed. Time for all of them to suck it up. Not the a-hole. And post the timeline on Facebook for all the family to see. Putting it somewhere public like Facebook might make things worse. I would suggest putting it in a group chat that includes all of the flying monkeys. I would also let them all know that they are more than welcome to donate their own funds to help family, if it's so important to them. Not the a-hole. Your wife is the problem, quite frankly. She is an enabler. She seems like she is okay with being taken advantage of, but not that you stand up for yourself and setting boundaries. I see this more as a marriage issue. This is definitely a marriage issue as well, which we need to get sorted ASAP. Not the a-hole. You don't have control over how your in-laws spent the money you give them, but you do have control over whether you give them more. They are abusing your kindness. The other relatives joining in can put their money where their mouth is and give to your in-laws to support them. Let's see how many do. They won't see any more money from us, except if it is really for some emergency or medical bills. And even then they won't get the money. I will pay the bills directly.